fluke worms. They can grow to be about the size of your thumb, with about half the thickness of your thumb. Most people have fluke worms in their intestinal tract. Those fluke worms can have migrated into the liver and pancreas depending on solvents in the diet. So when somebody does carbonated beverages and things, carbonated beverages full of laced with solvents, that can really affect the immune system's ability to help keep things at bay. So when someone has parasites like the round worm, a roundworm can lay 200,000 eggs per day. 200,000. Now, if we just consider this one parasite, all parasites have a bit of a phenomenon, just like a tree does. If a tree drops its seed close to itself, it has a force which less than allows any tree to grow up underneath it whilst it's growing. So adult parasites have a similar sort of an energy. Adult parasites, they keep eco-sterilize and block any eggs from hatching around it that is laid to give itself room enough, for its life itself. But when you do a parasite flush and you wipe the adult out, you haven't wiped the eggs out, you haven't wiped the larva out, and what happens? The eggs hatch into larva, and the larva crawls through the tissue, and it can be a lot more challenge if we let them do things right. If you start a parasite flush, you should do one on a rest active cycle until all false debris is gone, basically. Otherwise, it's wise to make sure you've got rid of your false debris, and then you go to work to clear away parasites and things. Could we see that?
Yeah.
Zach?
Yeah, I got that.
Did we get this on the tape for today? Welcome to the Phoenix Physician in Training. This is lesson number 24. It's all about analog sculpting, and that's sculpting the body to access state-specific behaviour, which we're going to be talking about today. But just before we begin, I just thought we would share just something very small about parasites. There's so much that we could cover in this training, but I really would love for all of us as Phoenix physicians to be aware of the importance of clearing away parasites and doing this sequentially by turning the tap on at the top of the intestinal tract, getting the river flowing, pulling all the false debris out of the intestinal tract, and then going to work to clear away all the parasites. We were just saying that the adults can have released eggs, and those eggs are blocked from hatching whilst the adult's there. You do a parasite flush, wipe the adult out, the eggs hatch into the larva, and the larva crawls through the tissue and becomes adults. That's a very common sort of a thing. Granulations and cystic types of conditions and cell wall rapid repair can have got stuck wherever the mold, fungus and yeast got a hole in connective tissue. The mold, fungus and yeast and the parasitic life forms produce a substance called choreogonotropic hormone, which is like an estrogenic compound, which is a endothelial cell wall growth factor. So in the presence of this substance, cell walls can have grown around that material to wall it off, and basically many cancers actually arise as a result of this kind of an etiology. So this worm up here has teeth which hooks onto the intestinal tract and just hangs in there just like a leech. This one also has teeth. This is a pinworm, and so it has teeth and it just hooks on and just sort of like a streamer hangs onto your intestinal tract and just is there, forever, just living off him and stuff. These beef worms, beef tapeworms and things, they can grow really huge, and they like to coil themselves up at night and tuck themselves up under the liver, and then they slowly release themselves where there's food, into the intestinal tract, and they eat whatever there is there, and they excrete into your body the most noxious substances. But they can cause bloating and gas. They can always cause gas and flatulence because they do produce noxious gases themselves. They can always create a state of anemia. They can cause vasoconstriction of the blood vessels and things at the periphery of ourself, and this sort of a thing. They can cause fatigue. They can cause joint, rheumatic kinds of conditions and things that can have also happened. Is there a seat for us there over there? Is that good, sir? Is there a spare cushion anywhere there? Huh?
Here's a spare cushion.
Oh, spare cushion. Thanks, Lee. That's from my good friend Muriel. She's given up that. She's going to sit on a hard seat herself, but she has a small seat to give us some height. These basically were defecated out of people.
Where did we get it?
Beef tapeworms. Those beef tapeworms kind of come from eggs that came from pets that defecated these eggs out, and they were on their fur and blowing around in the air. They can certainly come from consuming flesh products and stuff, undercooked sorts of flesh products and things that can have come about. And then mostly they can sort of come more from a little bit of a contamination. But how did they arise in the body? They only kind of arisen as a result of the acidicness of the stomach less than being excellent. That's the first line of defense, is actually the acid of the stomach. Whilst you have good acid of the stomach, no problem at all. You can roll around in that stuff and it's just not going to even matter. Nothing actually.
Half the country's taking antacids.
Right. You could actually down several vials of typhoid, and absolutely use it for nutrition. It's not anything at all. Right.
Then how do we know our acid or the stomach acid?
The acid of our stomach is good. What is one thing our physician might do to check the upper stomach to see the acidity or overactivity or underactivity of the
color
the colour of your eyes? Yes. Yes. What would be known as, David?
I think if there's a lighter corona around the iris, it shows up the opacity.
Yes. Okay. The pupil itself, right? Around the very pupil, not the iris. But
sorry. Yeah. Pupil.
Okay. Good. Okay. And then the underactivity. Because the tissue around the pupil itself is... So that's a way to tell. First. A bit more muscle testing to tell. You can be very intuitive, so you can sense these things if you like after this. Okay. So basically we just started out by just saying a few things about parasites. There's a true parasite involves going false debris and doing it methodically like this. And then there's parasites done in another way where downstream cleaning